Welcome back to another Bali COVID-19 update. This is April 7th, 2022, and my name is Bruce. And this noise that you hear in the background is my neighbor fixing his boat. And let's take a look at the weather today. The wind speed is 4.2 kilometers per hour. The temperature is 30.5 degrees Celsius, and the humidity is 62%, and it is a beautiful day in Singaraja. So this is Thursday, and well, here I am with an update. Why am I here on Thursday? So I said in the last video there are going to be some changes, kind of an experiment just to see what happens. And so for the next week, I'm going to try to be doing updates on a daily basis, Monday through Saturday. Sunday, I will not be doing these, only going to be doing the cooking videos with Sue, and these videos are going to be much shorter. Why am I doing this? A couple of reasons. One, my wife suggested it. Two, the last few videos have just been so long, and there were so many things I had to leave out. I thought, okay, I want to cover all of this stuff that is of interest to me and hopefully is of interest to you. But the videos are just getting too long, and they're getting to be harder and harder to manage in terms of editing, just because there's so many different segments. And my workflow kind of works like this. Every day I read 10 to 15 papers from around the world. Well, not read all of them in depth, but skim through them, look for interesting stories. Then I do 4 or 5 segments each day, and I save those up and then post those on Wednesday and Sunday. And well, my wife said, since you're doing them, why don't you just post them every day and do short ones, like 10 to 15 minutes. And maybe, she said, that won't be so labor intensive on Wednesdays and Sundays. It sounds like a plan. And so I'm gonna try it and see if it works. If it does not ease my workflow some, because there's some things I wanna do now that the weather is getting better. I wanna get out on the motorcycle, I wanna go snorkeling in the ocean, I wanna do some more walking around and test out my new gimbal. And so I'm hoping that I'll be able to do this because I love doing the news thing. But also get some other, I have a bunch of anthropology videos that need to be edited from when I was doing lectures on cruise ship, and I want to get to those. And there's walking around videos and a bunch of other stuff. And so I'm just going to see how this works. If people aren't interested in it, if it's too short and people aren't watching, well, then I can always go back to the previous way. But we'll see. And I welcome comments from all of you. If you think it's a good idea, a bad idea, let me know. Leave a comment below. But before I start off with the segments today, there seems to be some confusion about what I was talking about yesterday, and hopefully it was not from my video. I know it wasn't from my video because I've seen it in social media. People thinking that, oh, I don't need to get a COVID test at all. Not true. You have to have a COVID test 48 hours before you come here. So 48 hours before departure. You don't have to have it done here at the airport if you are fully vaccinated. And if there's any more clarification that people need, please just leave a message in the comment section and I will get back to you quickly as possible. And I'm hoping to reply to comments more quickly because, well, there's just so much to do. Don't let anybody tell you that when you retire you have nothing to do. You've got tons of stuff to do. Let's move on to the numbers. What are the numbers like? They're stable, kind of like yesterday. National new cases, 2,400. National recoveries, 5,415. National deaths, down to 43. This is great. We're well under 100. Let's hope that this stays this way. Bali new cases, 53, so we're right around that 50 mark every day. Bali recoveries, 29, and Bali deaths, 0. Good news. So numbers are looking good. Remember, we've got Muda coming up in another few weeks. People will start moving, and there was a thing in the paper I saw today that Jokowi said expecting 85 million people to be on the move. And so we're going to have to see how that affects the number of new cases and the spread of the virus. Let's get into the main story today. And what is the main story? Bali Airport sees 56% increase in passengers in March. Okay, 56% over February. Great news. According to the general manager of the airport, Harry Sakato, and I've talked about him before, the airport recorded 605,133 passengers and 4,774 aircraft movements in March. He said this was a combination of domestic and international flights. He said some of the factors that triggered the increase are the easing of flight requirements. Yes, and that's what we've talked about. Also, he said the MotoGP of Indonesia that was held in Lombok was also a factor in the hike in the number of passengers. The highest number of daily passengers on domestic flights was recorded at 26,335 on March 25th, and on international flights, 1,979 on March 28th. So we're getting 2,000 people a day, approximately, on international flights. Good news. And this is not to forget that people are also coming in on Jakarta and then coming to Bali. So we're getting a big bump, and I've been hearing about it's full over here, full over there. But Frankie said yesterday that it was pretty dead when he was in Nusa Dua. And we've got Legion and Ubud, and of course Canggu is packed. So really, really positive, with the exception that nobody is wearing masks. And so there's this mask thing I talked about yesterday. I was watching the videos that people like the Monkeys and Bobo and some other folks that are doing these, and everybody's walking around without masks. Here in Singaraja, everybody is wearing masks. What is the difference? I've said this before, bears repeating for my thing. If there's a rule that says you have to wear a mask, you enforce it. If you don't enforce it, you get rid of it so that it's equal for everybody. Nobody gets stressed. I would like to see the rule gone because I want to travel without a mask. I would just like some clarification from the government. Are we going to enforce this or not? Domestic travel. Let's talk about domestic travel because there's going to be a lot of domestic travel with Mudik. And if you are coming into Indonesia and you have never gone around, don't just get stuck here in Bali. Bali's a beautiful place, and I know that's why people want to come here. But there are so many great islands, so much stuff to see here. Lombok Airport provides vaccine booster service. So the international airport in Lombok has reopened the COVID-19 vaccination service in line with the issuance of the Transportation Ministry Circular number 36 of 2022, which noted that passengers who have received the booster are not required to show any negative test results, either PCR or antigen. And that took effect a couple of days ago. And this is a reminder, because I've talked about this before, but never hurts to remind people about this because people get confused and there's new people that watch the videos. It's also stipulated that fully vaccinated passengers must present a negative result of a PCR test taken within 3 times 24 or 72 hours before departure, or an antigen test taken 1 times 24 or 24 hours. That's for fully vaccinated. That's if you've got 2 shots or 1 shot of Johnson. If you've got the booster, nothing, right? If you've got 2 shots, you've got to show one or the other test. And passengers who've only had 1 dose are required to bring a negative result of PCR taken 3 times 24, 72 hours before departure. The vaccination service at the Lombok Airport serves second and booster doses of the vaccine, and the available vaccine types include Sinovac and Moderna for the second shot and Moderna for the booster shot. The site is set up in the departure lobby and opens every day from 9 a.m. until 2 p.m. Central Indonesian time, WITA. And what about Ngurah Airport, since we're talking about domestic travel? Second dose vaccine required, rapid antigen. So PT Angkasa Pura I, as the manager of the International Airport in Bali, has started to enforce the Ministry of Transportation Circular SE number 36 as of Tuesday, 2 days ago. And there's a number of rules that have changed, but I just talked about that in the Lombok segment, so I'm not going to talk about that now. I did not mention, however, that passengers under the age of 6 can travel with a travel companion and implement strict health protocols except for the mandatory provision of vaccines and COVID-19 tests. And according to the manager, in accordance with the SC, we also remind every prospective passenger to fill the Indonesian e-hack in the Peduli Lindungi app before checking in for air tickets. If you've gone through this and you haven't been asked to do that, why don't you leave a comment? Because I'm hearing that some people are getting asked and some people aren't. They don't have it, it doesn't work. They show a paper document and that's okay. And when asked about the COVID-19 test service, he said Bali Airport would still provide these, and the location is still the same, namely in the former Wasidi Sabta building or east of Bali Airport. Good news about domestic travel. And the police. Police get a lot of knocks from tourists and occasionally from expats as well. I happen to have had really good relationships with cops over the last 10 years. Before that, there were some problems, but over the last 10 years, cops are polite. They look at your documents, and if you've got them, you're free to go. And I always have a good time chatting with them. But there are bad cops in Bali, just like there are bad cops everywhere else. You get the good and you get the bad. And so what about here in Buleleng? Suddenly, dozens of Buleleng police personnel are urine tested. Yeah, there was a surprise urine test here in Buleleng the other day. The Bali Police's Professional and Security Division came to Buleleng to test, and they tested everybody. They tested from the top down to the bottom. And there have been some stories, a few, of cops caught with some drugs, and so that's not good. And it's good to see that the Bali police are working on accountability and checking and making sure that everything is up and up. I said that it started from the top. The Buleleng Police Chief, Andrian Pramudianto, also underwent the urine test. And so this was done on 80 members of the Buleleng Police. The activity also involved medical officers at the primary clinic of the Buleleng Police Headquarters. The police commissioner, Ketut Adnyana, said that from the results of the examination, no personnel were found to have been involved in drug abuse. He said everybody is clean and this deserves appreciation. I agree. In addition to the urine test, there were inspections on the use of firearms and inspections of official vehicles, both two-wheeled and four-wheeled. And the commissioner said from the results of the examination, both in terms of appearance and uniform, no violations were found. Likewise, the inspection of firearms held by personnel were all in good condition. So, things are on the up and up in the Buleleng Police Department. Great, congratulations. Well, here's a story I've talked about a few times, and it is in the paper constantly, every day. Indonesian language press, English language press. It's just gone on and on about whether or not there is going to be an election in 2024, and is Jokowi going to seek a third term? Well, President Jokowi firmly denounces Discourse to delay 2024 elections. In a plenary cabinet session aired live on YouTube on Wednesday, President Jokowi scolded his state ministers who had actively promoted the discourse on postponing the 2024 general elections. He said, no one should try to speak about delaying the elections, extending the presidential term. No more. And despite the fact that he said this, in some press reports, they're questioning this, saying, oh, he wasn't forceful enough. This seems to be pretty forceful. He argued that the country is facing a challenging situation caused by rising fuel prices, up to increasing prices of basic commodities, which is why he strongly urged his state ministers to focus on reducing the people's burden. The president also strongly called on state officials to express sympathy towards the situation that people are currently going through. He said, don't cause more problems. Focus on working and dealing with the difficulties we face. And who are these people in his cabinet that are pushing this third term delay the elections? Well, PKB chairperson Mohammed Iskandar, coordinating minister of economic affairs Erlangga Hartarto, and of course Pak Luhut has also been involved in this. He got involved by saying there's big data that would back the idea of delaying the election, but he never presented the big data. And so the president has given his ministers clear instructions. Quit talking about this stuff. It's not happening. Let's get on and deal with the situation, particularly with all the rising prices. Okay, and what's going on with boosters in Bali? Bali Task Force Coverage of booster vaccination reaches 54.37%. Yeah. So according to the Secretary of the Bali COVID-19 Handling Task Force, Bakmade Renton, he said, we have reached 54%, over 54% in the boosters throughout Bali. Unfortunately, Buleleng is last still. So the original target was 30% when we're talking about getting people coming in here direct into Bali. And well, we're up well over that. And Bakmade said, thanks to all parties involved in cooperating in order to reach that, but we want to continue to increase the vaccination rate for the booster. And every day, Buleleng has a list of places where you can get vaccinated. And that's an important part of keeping people safe here and making sure that as we get more and more tourists in here, we don't have any problems with having to go backwards because we get a spike in cases. So good to see the government continuing to push the boosters. That's it. Done for today. Not doing updates at the end like I was doing because everything is updated. So what is the wrap up? Things are looking good. We've got people coming in. The boosters are going up. Domestic travel, good weather. I'm pumped. My granddaughter is in school. She's home here waiting to go shopping, so I want to finish this up. I appreciate all the people that give me a thumbs up and people that are subscribing. Thank you. If you found this useful, helpful, informative, amusing, non-irritating, please give it a thumbs up. This helps with the YouTube algorithm. And if you haven't subscribed, please consider subscribing for the next week. As I said, I'm going to be doing daily ones, and we'll see how that goes. And all comments are welcome. Okay, thanks for viewing. Be kind to someone today, stay safe, and I'll see you tomorrow.